Let's get on with the details now. The Ghana Police Service is currently what doesn't seem to be enjoying too much of goodwill from the public. Well, that's because there is suspicion, if not the reality, that the police is almost always under the control of the political party in power. Indeed, the director of the Transformation Programs Office at the Police Service, ACP Dr. Benjamin Agojo, frustrated by how political interference is affecting the work of the police, openly demanded that the laws be changed to allow them their freedom.
The Inspector General of Police shall be appointed by the President, acting in consultation with the Council of State. Who are the Council of State? Who appointed them? Where is their loyalty? Don't answer. Keep it to yourselves. Now, the Inspector General of Police shall be head of the police service. They shall be subject to the provision of the article and to the control and direction of the Police Council. Who is the Police Council? Headed by the Vice President, who is also a party member and a member of the government. What kind of advice do you expect from him? Now, the third one, subject to the provision of the Constitution, the power to appoint persons to hold or to act in an office in the police service shall vest in the President. Are you getting the point? Now, if it is the President, what else do you expect? Acting in accordance with the advice of the Police Council. Who is the Police Council? You know. Now, this is the composition of the Police Council in Ghana. The Vice President is a party man. It doesn't matter whether it's MPP or NDC. This is what we have given us, and this is what we work with. Now, a minister responsible for internal affairs, who is he? He's a party man. Then you have an Inspector General of Police appointed by the President. The President can dismiss him at any point in time, and therefore his loyalty is partial. It doesn't matter whether he was appointed by MPP or NDC, his loyalty is divided. Because he can be appointed today and dismissed tomorrow. And the worst scenario is when he is appointed to be acting capacity. It means I'm watching you. That is what it means. Now, the Attorney General is a party man. Then you have a lawyer nominated, that one can be impartial, a representative of police, very well, 2 members of the police service appointed by the President. So who is that? Those people. Once they are appointed by the President, you know where they are coming from. Then 2 other members appointed by the President. So the whole composition of the Police Council is the President. And it's the party. Why will you give us this and think that we should be professional? You cannot. There's no way you can have a professional police service. It is party politics. And that is why we have become a chess in the hands of the government. Whether it's MPP or NDC, we are chess in their hands. And they are playing political games. That is why no party in opposition can trust the government, can trust the police. Because of what you do with us. And so once you move into opposition, you are scared that the same thing you do with us, the other party will do with us. So there is a need for constitutional amendment. And I propose that the IGP must be appointed for a fixed term with approval of Parliament to exercise independent control. There is a need for an independent police service commission to replace the current police council. And grounds upon which an IGP can be removed should be spelled out so that the IGP's removal from office cannot be based on the whims and caprices of appointing authority. That the Minister of Interior can only give directives to the IGP in writing on matters of policy, but not as to how the IGP must do his work. This will make the police loyal to the Constitution instead of particular governments.
Well, that sounds like a whole lot of things he believes is wrong with the current police structure, and a whole lot expected to make it more what he believes professional. But join the conversation on Facebook. We have a poll there, a post poll we're running there. We have a question there. The question is, do you believe that the police service is controlled in any way by government? Well, that's a very big question, and so far 2,200 people have voted, and you're saying that actually 87% of those who have already voted say yes, the police service is indeed controlled by government. You would say, from what the analysis or from the analysis of that constitutional provision by the police officer there, that it is true. because a paltry 13% of people say no. 13% of the 2,200 people who have voted said no, the police is not controlled by government, but 87% think that yes. So join the conversation. We're not done yet. At the end of the program, we'll find out how many more of you have voted. And so it is still going on our Facebook page. So we've put together a team of experts to help discuss this. We have the president of the National Association of Retired Police Officers, NAPRO, joining us for that conversation. We also have two security experts, one on the field and the other from academia, all joining in the conversation. Before that, let's hear from the minority spokesperson on Defence and Interior in Parliament, who has raised some concerns at their news conference on the security situation in the country.
Over the period, and let me be very frank here, after the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution, we sought to make the position of Inspector General of Police answerable to the political class. And so IGP is appointed by the president. He or she can be removed at will. I thought that after several years of governance under the 1992 Constitution, something ought to have been done.
Well, that's why you were there. You held that process.
No. So I'm saying that yes, after the 92 Constitution was ruled out for so many years, we've enjoyed good governance under that Constitution. I have identified that particular arrangement as problematic.
So we all know it's problematic, yes, but so, the way forward, what do we do?
A constitutional amendment so that the position of IGP is made independent. Or better still, the president could exercise his appointive powers, appoints him, but the IGP, all service commanders, the chief of defense staff, army commander, those appointments should be subject to parliamentary scrutiny. As it stands now, you know, the president.
Even if it's subject to parliamentary scrutiny and the government has the majority, like we're seeing now in Parliament, your guess is as good as mine that it will surely go through if the president brings it.
It is our hope that Parliament itself, as an institution, would rise to the occasion and not allow itself to be excessively partisan, so that when issues bordering on security in particular happen, we can interrogate the issues devoid of petty partisan politics. And we do that because in other jurisdictions, if you go to the U.S. Congress, all right, before appointments are made, critical appointments in the security sector are made, like the Joint Chiefs of Staff, etc. Once the president makes the appointment, the person must appear before the legislature.
Back home to Ghana, is this something that the committee has been talking about at all, discussing at all, as to how we can change this trend of the...
Remember under the NDC government, we started the constitutional review work.
We want to know what is happening now at the moment.
The report was given. Unfortunately, we have shelved the report. So maybe one of the things you should do as journalists is to begin to ask questions, what we have done with the report of the Constitutional...
If the members of Parliament know their work and they're doing it, this particular one probably wouldn't have to take so much.
We have been doing our part, but it will take the involvement of the media and civil society.
So do I take it that...
serve as an impetus to the work of Parliament. We alone cannot do the job.
So I take it that at the moment, nothing like that is...
collaborative effort.
Nothing like that is on your table at the moment.
The media and civil society.
At the moment, nothing like that as far as, you know, these powers given to the president is on, your table.
Powers are unfettered. He makes the appointment. If you come and you are not serving his agenda,
so nothing is happening.
And brings a more subservient person.
So the point is nothing is happening on the committee as far as that is concerned.
No, our committee alone cannot cause a constitutional amendment to take place. We can only raise the issues. And I'm saying that we have raised those issues time without number. The time has come for the media and civil society to join hands with us to ensure that those laws, whether they are in the Constitution or the Police Service Act, which no longer serves any useful purpose, are changed.
So that is a minority spokesperson on the Committee of Defense and the Interior in Parliament, explaining things to me earlier this morning. Well, joining us on the line is DCOP retired Kwesi Nkansah. He's president of the National Association of Retired Police Officers. Mr. Nkansah, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Prosper Ni Ado is also a security analyst and currently the deputy head of the AU mission in Liberia. Sir, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
I do hear you. It sounds a bit squeaky, but I do hear you all the same. Well, joining us on the line is Dr. Vladimir Enchi Danso. He is a highly experienced researcher and consultant to many international organizations on security and in other fields. Dr. Vladimir Enchi Danso, thank you so much for your time as well this afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners.
All right, so you're welcome. Let's begin the conversation, and I'm going to start with you, Dr. Vladimir Enchi Danso. Now, you understand very well the politics of this country. You understand very well the dynamics of policing and the dynamics of a very dynamic society as we go along and how it's all playing out recently. From where you sit or where you stand, what do you see is the future of the Ghana Police Service if we continue the trend of so much powers in the hands of the president as far as controlling the police service is concerned?
A bright future for the police, no matter what we want to do with it. The power in the president is constitutionally given, and it depends on how we use that constitutionality. If a president would want to have the police service vested under his hypnosis, that is what you would have. But if you have a police service whose hierarchy is such that they would want to exert their independence, they can exact it. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, we look over our shoulders and want to do what would please the president or what would please the incumbent in power. I have been at the forefront of fighting for the police service, call it emancipation, by having a commission instead of.
Doc, let me interrupt briefly, and I'm sorry about that. Just to acknowledge the presence of DCOP Kwesi Nkansah, who is president of the Retired Police Officers Association. Mr. Nkansah, thank you very much for your time this afternoon here on the Pulse, and thanks for joining the discussion.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to
very well.
Dr.
Vladimir Enchi Danso, let's go on with your point, and then I'll bring DCOP Nkansah in the discussion.
Right. What I was saying was that I mean, if any police service wants to exact their independence, they could. Because the very fact that the president appoints the head of the police service does not necessarily mean that they don't have what it takes to adhere to the remit of the Constitution.
But you know that it's easier said than done.
Of course, that's true. That's very true. It depends on the person involved. But that notwithstanding, I've been at the forefront where I'm saying it's ridiculous to have the IGP's term of office usually coterminous with the terms of office of the incumbent government. It's not correct. Secondly, I have always maintained that it would be proper if we change the situation now and have the police service have their hierarchies in a type of competitive kind of way. Not only that, all the security service to make them more independent. But that is also easier said than done, because what we are having now is constitutionally cut one way or the other, and that is why we are having it. Be it as it may, then it means the organization should be able to work according to the remit of the Constitution without looking left or looking right. In most instances elsewhere, it is the same thing, that the heads of state appoint the head. But when they are appointed, they are autonomous. It is their mind. It is the work that tells them what to do, not the incumbent government.
Well, let me bring you in on this. This DCOP Kwesi Nkansah, you've been through the system. How easy is it for government to interfere with the work of the police?
Do you ask how easy it is for the government to interfere with
right, you have been through the system. I mean, paint for us a picture. I mean, help us to understand. Is it very, do you have systems that, even though for those of us on the outside, we may look at it and say, well, based on the very surface, based on what we see, the president is appointing the IGP. Based on all of these, it is very easy for governments to interfere. That's easy for us to say because we are not in the system. But you have been through the system. You're out of the system at the moment. Is this the case? If we think like that as Ghanaians, are we justified?
First of all, let me correct this. I am a commissioner of police and not deputy commissioner of police.
Right. Sorry for that, sir.
It is through government or is the president that appoints the Inspector General of Police. But that does not mean that the president will daily control the person that the Inspector General should be, or any time that he goes through something, he has to look over his shoulders. I do not think that has been the case. You may find one or two things that may not be pleasant to you, but certainly I don't think in general terms that amounts to controlling the whole system, that is the police service. And let us not fail to remember let's not fail to remember that the teeth, when I say the teeth of government, is the police. Is the police that enables the government to work. People will sort of agree. So people will see that it is the police that will enable the government to be effective. Otherwise, you don't have anybody to arrest. You don't have anybody to prepare docket. You don't have anybody sending the docket to what do you call it, the Attorney General's department. What will happen? You don't take care, there will be chaos. So I agree. Maybe you will get some Inspector General who may not be strong enough to resist any attempt by any outsider to interfere with the work of the service. But I don't think that works to the contrary, or that goes to affect the service as a whole.
Okay, well, let me bring you Prosper. Prosper is joining us from Liberia. Prosper, you've had the conversation that's ongoing from the two sides. They're saying that it depends on the strength of the IGP. But the fact that the president appoints you doesn't necessarily mean that you should kowtow and do whatever the president asks you to do. But we've seen the structure where the president is involved in everything. The chairperson of the police council here in Ghana, for example, is the vice president. The vice president, like the police officer was saying, is a member of the party. He is a member of the party that is governing. The people that are supposed to advise, Attorney General, advise the president on all of these legal issues, they are all party people. So then, the logical conclusion is that the tendency for every decision they take to be skewed towards the parties, in the party's favor, is very high. Does this measure up to international best practices?
Well, in other countries, you also have some slightly different things. And in the UK, for instance, it's not only the Home Office that these activities of that. I also have local, local police authority that also plays a role. And then you have the Chamber, who are left also the IGP of assault, also has some responsibility. So you have that tripartite structure. It's not only within the Home Office, with the staff and the Majesty's government and all that. But then you also put this into context. You see, everybody in the structure is to the people of God. The president, he ought to take accounts to the people of God.
Right.
The minister for Syria must report to Parliament, I think, once a year, to give account about the service. And parliamentarians represent the people of God. So what I'm saying here is this, that if we don't, we focus everything on the president and take a bigger picture.
Okay.
And so where issues of politics and also nepotism come, the focus is on the party hierarchy and also professional aspect, which is expected to enhance the delivery, on the ground.
Okay. Well, Prosper, the line is a bit faint, but if I got you clear, the point you're making is that even though the police may be, the presidency may have a big hand in what happens at in the police service, there are still avenues for checks and balances, avenues, for example, as far as those present on the police council are responsible to, or they report to Parliament. Parliament is a representative of the people, have minority and majority, so that should suffice somehow. Let me come back to Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso and look at the way forward. We've looked at the structure, and it looks like there is a heavy hand of the government, which is made up of a political party. How do we move on from here? Do we just accept the status quo and say, well, there are checks and balances? We can go to Parliament. We can have the minister respond to Parliament. We can actually have the IGP come to answer questions in Parliament. So let's leave it as it is and move on. Or should we, like some people have said, go for or push for a constitutional review that will lessen the presence of the presidency in the appointment of who is on the police council?
Well, I began by saying that no matter what structure you have, if you want to make it work, it would work. Some of us suggested what you earlier said, by changing the police structure and making it possible for the hierarchy to be competitive so that no government had a hand. But even that would not certainly mean that the government could not screw it if it wanted to. The current system, we are speculating and we believe maybe that the government has so much and then therefore the police are not working according to their remit. I'm saying no. Yes, they're working according to their remit, but the government, at any point in time that it wants to interfere, does. How do we rather take that one off or change the structure altogether? Changing the structure would mean constitutional changes. Two, if you don't change the structure, there may be other things that you could do, like we're talking about checks and balances on the police. So I strongly suspect that what we have may work if we want it to work. What we have may not work if we don't want it to work. But remember that the structure of the police we have today can easily work. If you take the Article 350, I believe, yes, that sums up the police, what the police are expected to do. You don't have to go to government to be able to do it. Best practices everywhere, anywhere in the world is such that, yes, the police are suspected, they are in bed with this and bed with that, even in America. So my take on this is that the future lies with what we want to do with the police. Either we change the constitutional mandate of the police and make it different, or what we have must be made to work, and I think it can work.
Let me come to you, COP Kwesi Nkansah. Is this a position that you agree with, and why?
Yes, I do agree with
Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso.
Yes, because who will, if we say we're going to elect, who are those people going to elect the Inspector General? How many people are going to put some people down and say that these are the people, line them up, and then elect one of them? How? What is the process, the procedure to be adopted?
Well, when you have a number of people who have qualified or who qualify to be IGP, they can be voted upon, can they?
The point is that you get into the service, you're making a journey, you have seniority which you cherish so much.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to a point, you are saying, let us elect, and you're going to put maybe a assistant commissioner or a deputy commissioner or commissioner or the deputy inspector general, and line them up and say that one of them should be elected. You're going to undermine the hierarchy, the seniority, and it's going to affect the morale of the personnel. That may be dangerous.
But you could have people within the same bracket. So if you take the IGP, his qualification, you can have about 5 or even 10 people who qualify, who are the same level. So you consider people at the same level or at a level that is required to be IGP.
So you may have them, but you may have, apart from qualification, which may be academic, there are other factors that will have to be taken into account. The person's experience, the person's way of life, the person's behavior. All these things will have to be taken into account. Are you going to sit down and then an individual person or a group of people are going to say that, let us select A, B, C, D, and we'll line them up and say that one of them should be elected? And who will be casting vote for any or one or two of them? Who will be doing that? It will be so cumbersome.
So in that case, what do you suggest will be the most effective way of dealing with the problem on our hand?
Well, I don't know whether you call it as a problem. I'm not sure whether I got you correct. Or
yes, because that's why lots of people have described it. They say it's problematic because then it doesn't make policing of the highest of standards. Because anytime you can have some politician here or there infiltrating or interfering or even moving the hand of the president to interfere.
Madam, if you are going to say that, then it will go on and on all across the spectrum. A chief executive of a ministry, everybody. Then it means that we are going to elect everybody. I think the president will have to give the president or the politicians, we have to give them, the benefit that they will act well and that they will not be interference. That is all. And then the Inspector General must also put his foot down. He tells you recruit A, B, C, D, and he says, sir, the level, the standard, the education, I do not think these people are qualified. And you say it politely and gently.
But your work or your job will be on the line, wouldn't it?
If I were made Inspector General for one day, and I saw that something was wrong with was wrong with the way I was being treated, I wouldn't mind. One day I'll go out. What else? And what are you looking for? You are Inspector General. You're Inspector General. That's all.
Would you share with me any experience you had when you were still with the service that you showed such courage, if I will put it that way? I'm certain that you came through, you went through an experience that called for this.
Well, I had some kind of experience, Peter Wando. And I wouldn't take it so serious because
but you tell us what happened.
Oh, I think let me leave it behind me.
But you're already out of the system. You're already out of the system. I mean, these are learnings that help society.
It might remind me of my wounded feeling.
But you said it wasn't anything serious, right?
No, I wouldn't say it wasn't. Okay, let me to break the news out. What happened was that I was #1 commissioner of police behind an Inspector General, and the reasonable thing was that it will follow, and that was to follow that I would be the next Inspector General, and I was bypassed. But I feel that may be the hand of God. That's the way I see it. Maybe if I turn into God, if Inspector General, who knows what would have happened to me? I don't bother. I don't care. I don't think about it. That's why I say, in a nutshell, that's what I would say. I do not want to remind myself of what had happened in the past. No, especially the past, which is so bad, so sad. No, right. I don't want to be reminded of my wounded feeling.
And I'm sure that this happened, what happened that gave you that wounded feeling has something to do with politics.
You are pushing me to...
It has. Because we look at the trend in this country, and if you follow the trend in this country, it is very easy to spot the source of this problem. Certainly, there was somebody who had political links that perhaps you didn't have and got the upper hand. Is that correct?
Well, you're right.
I'm right.
Reluctantly, I'm answering that question.
Very well. I understand.
Right.
I understand. So I go back to you, Dr. Vladimir Nchudanso, with this very story. And you're saying that even if there are these checks, even if there is an IGP who is elected, like you're saying, and the government or the president still wants to take advantage, the president wants to manipulate it, the president will certainly have a way of manipulating it. But does this not, the experience that COP in Cancer has just shared with us, does this not make the police then settle for the status quo? Because it's as if you really can't fight it. So they settle for the status quo, and it is reflected in the kind of policing that we experience in this country, wouldn't you say?
Right, to some extent. But what I'm saying is that, I think we said that earlier on, a good IGP, knowing the character of the police and knowing the focus of the police, the remit by the Constitution, through Article 350 of the Constitution, would want to work as a policeman. And I strongly suspect that the agencies around and the structure of the Constitution gives us all the mandate to help the police in one way or the other. It is because we are all lax that these things are happening. I'm saying the opposite is not also free of all these encumbrances, because the government, if they want to interfere, would interfere. But then it depends on the agencies around. I mean, people have taken the police to court before. The oversight body like the parliament is there. So whichever one we choose, I'm saying let Ghanaians make it work. The current one we are hearing can actually work. There's only serious political issues that you see the interference. Only very serious political issues. All other issues do work to some extent. But then that crime is gradually getting political color. That serious matters of criminality about the political color is the worry. Right. I would say if we get a different structure that will take that away. That is what I say. We can judge on that. Personally, I've written before that I would wish we had an IGP not appointed by the president, but by maybe a commission or by competition. You know, it's your turn and you compete with it, like you mentioned. Or alternatively, we don't even have the Ministry of Interior in the supervisory thing. We had it, I think, in South Africa some time back, where there is a police commission. And therefore, the autonomy is so great. I think Australia had it some time back also. But whatever we have, I say it can work if we want to make it work, actually.
Ghanaians will have to make it work. I'll take your final thoughts.
Exactly.
I'll take your final thoughts, but let me take the final thoughts first of COP in Cancer. So before I take your final thoughts, would you share with us how retirement is like? Does it get boring? Do you miss the service?
At the moment.
Yeah.
The line was a little bit faint. Can you?
Yeah, I was just asking you to share with us your days in retirement. How is it going for you? Do you miss the service? Do you look back and see things that you want to change and things that you want to suggest to the service to do to make it better?
Well, you know, as a human institution, from time to time there will be a need to make some changes. There will be a need to sit down and reflect. Things cannot be static. From time to time, we have to change certain things to suit the conditions of the day. Well, certainly, I wouldn't object. I wouldn't, if I were around. But I have no objection. I feel happy wherever I am, outside the service. So much happy because I'm doing my own thing. Nobody controls me. Nobody tells me just get out in the morning. I have to go and do this or that. No. Now I do my own thing.
You do your own thing.
I do my own thing.
And if you had the hindsight, I mean, if you had the opportunity to go back into the service, what one thing will you change?
Oh, I think I need to sit down. A lot of things on the mind, but the thing that I would like to to change. I would not like to change, have the structure change. Maybe there will be one or two reforms here and there, but I wouldn't off on top of my head. Okay. I wouldn't like to say that I want to change this or that, because it may not work at a particular time. As I'm speaking now, what I may think may not work the next day or two. Okay. It's when you are behind the steering column, then you will know that I need to look back and say that I have to change this to suit the conditions of the day.
Okay, right. Is that your final words, or do you have any final words, sir?
Oh, my final word is that let Ghanaians help the police. Let Ghanaians give information. No police can succeed without information from the people. The criminal is with the people. It's within the community. They know the wife, the husband, the brother, the sister. What else? They all know who that criminal is.
So they should let the police know who they are.
They are not prepared to give out. You know, and therefore we go on. But when it affects them, that is the time they say, "Oh, let us help this or that." But I think every Ghanaian must be a committed, maybe intelligence officer. Whatever you see, whatever you hear, relate to the police.
Okay.
For them to act on it.
Sir, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. COP retired Kwesi Nkansa. He is the president of the Retired Police Officers, Association of the Retired Police Officers there. Your final word, Dr. Vladimir Enchidanso.
Well, let us allow the police to work. There are fine policemen who always want to change things. My very good friend Alassane, for example, really was with me when we were talking about changing the structure that I'm talking about. And when I did the writing, I mean, he was full of praise for that. Every IGP has got some changes into the police service. And if we allow them, instead of using them, especially I'm talking to the politicians, change of government, and you see ordinary people calling policemen to follow them to go and seize cars. The police themselves also must accept their independence one way or the other. Because if the president had done something and you, a police officer, you are chasing the president and you are fired, I think the whole of Ghana will stand behind you. Right. Let the police accept their own independence, we will be behind them. Any structure that will make the police more effective, let us have that structure.
Dr. Vladimir Enchidanso, we really appreciate your time with us this afternoon. But join the conversation. The WhatsApp number is 050-564-6330. Now, if you are a police officer, retired or still in service, and you want to share with us some of your experiences about how political infiltration or political influence has affected your work, has affected the professionalism, let us know. We will not reveal your identity. We just want to understand how it works in the system. So the WhatsApp number that's on your screen is 050-564-6330. That's 050-564-6330. Share with us your experiences. If you are a police officer, or if you know police officers who have stories to share about how political interference is affecting their work, share with us. In the meantime, go on facebook.com/JoyNews on TV and join the poll. We're asking you whether or not you think the government interferes with the police service. 87% of you already say, 87% of 2,200 people that voted already say yes, government interferes with the police. But 13% of you say it doesn't. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Dopia. I'll take a very quick break. I'll be right back. A quick one on the WhatsApp messages that are coming in. This one says, a NASA's member who died was a plot by government. What we kind of go through this is unsubstantiated comment. We need to substantiate that. He says, if government dares to cause the arrest of Kennedy, that will be the end of the party. Okay, you don't add your name to that message. This message says, I pity the police. He says the police is heavily influenced by 1, chiefs and community elders; 2, opinion leaders and assemblymen; 3, by wealthy people; 4, celebrities; 5, DCEs and MCEs; 6, members of parliament; 7, ministers; 8 the president, and 9 their own wives. Okay, this message is coming from, you did not add your name. This one says, yes, politicians influence police work by some police officers, but some police officers are helping them. I am a police sergeant. Mr. Sergeant, thank you very much for sending your message. This one says, in fact, the government is indeed having an impact on our work, especially this government. But you do not add your name. Indeed, we have said that we will not identify you if you're still in the service, so it's okay. This message doesn't have a name. Well, it actually has a name. It's coming from Ebenezer in Takwa. Ebenezer says, yes, government controls the police and this must stop. That is why they can't arrest Kennedy Japan, and he's always talking as if he is the only rich man in Ghana. Ebenezer, thanks for your message there. Finally, this one says, before the structure can be reformed, there should be political tolerance, because there is no way it will affect the ruling party in government whereas they have massive influence in the sector. Please stop calling the line. You just have to send a WhatsApp message. So let's go on Facebook and look at the poll that we created. So far, 2,400 people have voted in this poll. And the question is, do you believe the police service is controlled in any way by government? The answer is 88% of you say yes. 88% of 2,400 people say yes, the police is controlled by government. And 12%, initially it was 13%, and it looks like the share there is dwindling. So 12% now say no, the police is not controlled by government. Let's check out a few of the comments there, and then we can move on from this particular story. Frank Akaboedu says, yes, but not only this government, all successive governments control police like their children. Ghana police is really useless. You say that we should change the law. IGP shouldn't be appointed by president, period. So let's be decorous with our words, by the way. Al-Hassan Abbas says, people that you can control with just 5 cities. Infum Day says, yes, an emphatic one. King says, do you need a soothsayer to tell you this? And then Elikem says, why are people voting for no? You are wondering, well, not everybody thinks the way you think. Michael Mensa says, who appoints IGP and their various directors? If the police service is autonomous, everybody will be cautious in Ghana. Emmanuel Bulle says, Facebook has added a new software app. Okay, well, all right, so let's go on. Isaac Obobi says, NPP NDC. Cotonero says, you don't even have to raise a survey for this. Even my 2-year-old, I beg your pardon, even my 2-year-old asked me yesterday why the police force isn't independent. Obed Obedience says, the Ghana Police Service has been far from being independent from government, past and present, since times immemorial. And do you believe Ghana Police Service is corrupt anyway? Is Nesta's question. David Yabua says, government even controls the rate at which people have sex in this country. Do they? The power they have is beyond imagination. Why do you think they invest a lot during election campaigns? And Awudu says, no, I don't think so. So Awudu, you are one of those who don't think so. Bayo says, the public has lost trust in the security agency simply because when suspects are reported to the police and arrested, they end up on the streets again. And a very final one from Junior Ajanda says, the Ghana Police Service has never been independent under successive government. So those are some of your comments there on Facebook, the poll that you joined in. 88% of 2,400 people think that the police is influenced, controlled by government, and not just this government, successive government as well. By the way, 12% think no, the police service is independent.